All right, we are excited to have on Chase Johnson, who was the 2024 Charlie Sifford Memorial Exemption at this year's Genesis Invitational. He's currently driving or in the car right now, so hopefully he gets to his dinner in one piece. But Chase, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys? Or how are you doing?
Good, good. I'm just doing some prep work for the or not Honda. Hopefully that's the only time I say Honda,
I
not
know,
the
right?
Con.
I've been doing that all week, and they actually had me do a media thing earlier in the week, and I could not
Yeah.
get Cognizant Championship. I stuttered on it so hard.
It's just like Honda is just, it's so easy. Honda. Congleton is hard. So let's try maybe not to use
Yeah.
that, name. But my first question is, how's the state of your golf game right now? Also you played at the Genesis, made the cut there. Kind of what's the state of your game? How are you, feeling right now?
It's really good. I played well last week at Genesis. The first day was probably, if I had to grade my ball striking, I don't know what's a Z. If we can go lower than F, it was freaking terrible. But my short game was really saving me that day. Made a lot of good par saves and putts. So, and then the weekend I ball struck it very very well. I just didn't make
Yeah.
any putts. When you have a bunch of birdie chances and you just keep missing them by edges, it builds. But I've my game is in a good spot, driving it well, wedging it well, doing all the stuff right. So just dial in the reads and speed,
Yeah.
and we'll be good for this week.
Yeah. What's like a practice day like for you? Like, do you, practice greens first and like range, and then practice round then range? Like, what is kind of like a typical day at a tournament, kind of
Yeah, it
Monday through
kind of
Wednesday?
depends. It kind of depends on
Mm-hmm.
on the day. This morning I was out there and played with a couple Kent Staters, Corey Connors and
Yeah.
Taylor Pendrith. So we had ball and air at 8:30. So I got out there. PT opens at 7, so got there for breakfast at about 6:30. Went in for PT at 7. Got all stretched out and lose some activation. Then went to the range and so today I just set up a speed drill and was working my
Okay.
way through that just to kind of warm up on putting, and then go to the range. And on a normal practice day, I would prefer to go through my yardage warm up with wedges. I go 30 through
Yeah.
100, 3 balls each. Then
Okay.
into some full 9 irons, fly to 9 irons, full 6 irons, fly to 6 irons, 4 iron, 7 wood, 3 wood driver. But today it was just like a very quick, just swing hard 8 irons for like 2 seconds and get loosened up and go to the
Yeah.
first tee. So we had a practice round. We played 18, and we just had a little game going, some skins, and testing out, hitting the putts and stuff all over. And yeah, it was a light day, but a normal practice day is a little bit more detailed with yardages and dialing the wedges and TrackMan. And but after the round, we got some good work in on putting. Did a lot of putting drills, and just
Mm-hmm.
again trying to match the speed to those reads that I struggled a little bit with at Genesis.
Yeah. What's it like going from California to Riviera, Poa Greens, and now you're on Bermuda, and like you just said that you kind of like struggled. So what's that adjustment like? Do you take like some more time on the practice greens and like time
Mm-hmm.
out on the course with that?
Yeah, so it's obviously very different. I usually hate putting on Poe but since I've learned to aim point, it's definitely become a lot easier because it's so hard to use your eyes with Poana greens. And when you're using your feet, you don't get as tricked, especially because California's in the mountains and they build the greens into the hills, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's going right to left, and then you miss it by 12 inches because it's going left to
Uh-huh.
right. And so yeah,
Yeah.
getting out here and kind of getting used to the Bermuda again, and the effect that grain has. It's really tight grain, so it's not that
Uh-huh.
big of an issue, but it's more so kind of getting used to the speed into grains and down grains. So it was
Yeah.
a little bit of an adjustment for sure. Greens are softer, way softer here. At Riviera, they were like cement, and this week they're definitely a lot more receptive, which is a
Yeah.
change even when you're just doing aim point because you kind of sink a little bit. So yeah, it's been a bit of an
When
adjustment, but it's been fun.
so when did you start using aim point? Because in my game, being like a 15 handicap, I just stand over my ball to look like I know how to do like aim point. But like, when did you start? When did you start using aim point? And like, have you seen it like improve your like green reading and that stuff outside of like the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started using aim point because of California and Poana greens,
Okay.
and it was not this past season, but the year before at Q school at second stage. I went to Murrieta, California, and I
Okay.
ball struck the ball like a champion. Putted or hit it so well, and I averaged 38 putts for the week. It was miserable. I couldn't
Oh.
even tap in from like 2 feet, and so I came back
Right.
and I was like, I need to do something different. And I'm like, I need to learn aim point so I'm not getting tricked with my eyes. And so I started doing it the beginning of last season, and I think it's really paid off. I feel more confident, even if the read's wrong. I at least feel like confident that the read is there, and my stroke
Yeah.
became more consistent and not as timid, and I'm not pulling up on it. So at least if I miss now, I miss going down swinging, and I'd rather
Yeah.
have that confidence. But it's not difficult to learn. The thing that's tough about it is just the repetition. You have to do it over and over every single day. You have to wear the same shoes, the same soles.
Mhm.
Like if you're just
Oh
out
wow.
there, if you're wearing different shoes every day, your feel's going to be different with each pair.
Oh
And so you gotta learn the 1%, 2%, 3%, and then it's just
yeah.
repetition after that.
Well, I have to learn other facets of my game first to actually nail down aim point. So, but I kind of want to transition to your like childhood. I watched some like interviews from like the Genesis, and stuff before that. So, kind of talk me through your childhood with golf and how like your dad was very instrumental to like your game.
He built everything that's here. He built the swing. He built the mindset. Everything.
Hmm.
I was addicted to golf from the start before I even knew what golf was. Trying to pull his clubs out of his bag when I was a baby, about getting crushed by it. So, um, was hooked from the start. But he developed. He would, do the same things that Earl did with Tiger, as far as trying to distract me, and you know, um, just everything that goes into mental toughness with the game,
Yeah.
and it's paid off. And with the swing, he built my swing off of like a combination of Tiger and Jack and Hogan. Like he read all those books and just kind of took pieces that he liked and put them all together. And now I've learned to own my swing and master it. So I don't like I don't call him a coach. I have a mentor. We go over
Yeah.
TrackMan numbers, but as far as swing wise, he doesn't tell me what to do in a position. Like he's not like,
Uh
okay,
huh.
you need to get more flexion in your wrist. He's just like, okay,
Right.
look, your numbers were this when you're hitting it good. This is what your numbers. How did you do that? And then I figure it out myself. But my dad built
Yeah.
the core that gives me the confidence to, you know, be able to make that adjustment on my own.
Is there a story that stands out in a childhood that like you look back on and you kind of like laugh at with like your like dad be like, I can't believe like we actually like did that.
Oh Lord, probably I'm gonna have to pick one because there's a lot. I would say one that sticks out to me right now is not necessarily like can't believe we did that, but it taught me not to throw tantrums on the golf course
Okay.
because I was being really sour and we were in the
Okay.
middle of a round and I was playing well, and he pulled me off the golf course. Like we just walked and I'm sitting there crying and I'm like, no, I want to keep playing. Like this isn't fair. I was playing well. And because my attitude was so bad, he made me leave the golf course. And then not only that, but I ended up getting grounded and I had to go home and just do homework. So that
Oh,
was
that's the biggest punishment, doing homework after playing golf.
exactly. I'm like, oh no, I get to finish the round, go play with my friends. I'll do my
Yeah.
homework later. Nope, solitary confinement.
Yeah. Did you play in any like junior tournaments at all, like before like high school golf and like college golf? I'm just like the average like golfer. I got in it when I was in like high school, so I never like played in like tournaments and
Okay.
stuff. So like kind of like so like how was that experience as like a young age, um, like playing those like junior tournaments?
Yeah, it was. So my first tournament I played was when I was 5. It was the U.S. Kids state.
5?
Yeah, yeah. When I
Oh
was
my
5,
God.
the U.S. Kids State Championship. It was in Columbus, Ohio, at a course called Safari Golf Course. I actually think it's still open,
Okay.
which is kind of cool. I need to go back and play it again, but it was I won. It was the first tournament I won. I think I shot 3 under, and I got my first eagle on the 9th hole. I mean, they have us up. It's a par 5 that's like 80
Yeah.
yards, and I was
Yeah. Right.
good, so I could hit it far. So I actually drove it over the green, pitched back, and made the putt for eagle.
Right.
But yeah, so that was fun. And then each year, that was pretty much my only tournament at that
Yeah.
age up until like 8. They had a thing called the Pups Tour, which again was just like a little kids tournament, and so I played in that. Um, then we had Northern Ohio PGA Junior Series and the
Okay.
Kenny Novak Junior Series, so I played in those all the time growing up. And AJGAs were expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like $400 a pop, $500 for some of them, and so I couldn't afford those. And so I
That's
didn't.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I played my first AGGA until I was maybe a junior or senior in college, and I was already committed by that point. But I wanted to play in the fields, and even then, you still had to, in order to get into certain events, you had to have stars, like basically enough points to get through. So
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
go and just do the Monday qualifiers or the Open qualifiers, win
Okay.
those, and they're like, "Oh, you're in the event." I was like, "Actually, I'm not. We just came for the points." So I would leave after the Monday qualifiers, and I won. I played in 2 or 3 of them, won all 3 of them, and then like got enough points, and then saved up money to actually get into the real events. And I ended up playing 2. I played 1 in Indiana. I played 1 at Scarlet, which is Ohio
Okay.
State's home course, and
Okay.
came in second in that one. But that's pretty much it. The local tour was
Mhm.
good enough for me to get comfortable, and then getting into high school golf, I was able to make a name for myself there, and got recruited and committed to Kent State my sophomore year of high school, which was also the
Yeah.
year that they came in 5th at the national championship at Riviera.
Really? Oh wow, that's like kind of like full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to transition. You kind of did the transition for me. But how was your time at Kent State? Being there as like a freshman, like high school golf to college golf. Now that you have to like balance schoolwork, maybe depending on
Mm-hmm.
how
Yeah.
much you like school and stuff. So kind of talk about that experience.
Yeah, it was really cool going. I remember they had a bit of a rebuilding year. So in the spring of 2014, they had Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith, who are I
Yeah.
did my practice round, both all
Hmm.
Americans there. And another guy, Kyle Kamik, was their third player, and he was fantastic player as well. And so they lost everyone pretty much, and it was a rebuilding year my freshman year. And so we did well all in qualifying. We took all 4 freshmen to the first event, and which is not usually the case.
Yeah.
And so I remember my first event, it was at Windsong Farms, Minnesota's tournament, and I straight laid the sod over my 3-wood off the first hole, proceeded to then lay the sod over my 4-iron, and then chunked the bunker shot, and then I think I may have even 3-putted for double on the first hole.
Oh.
So that was not a hot. I ended up shooting 1 under for the first round, and but it was fun. It was definitely a transition. I was fortunate. I got comfortable quick. I think my second event was Toledo's tournament at Inverness, which is a fantastic course, and I led after the first day. After the first 36, I led, and then the Ohio State hosted a tournament in the fall, and I ended up losing. I came in second. I lost that by 1. So I got comfortable quick, and I ended up playing all 4, like every tournament, all 4 years at Kent State. And got more comfortable each year. Ended up I think I set the record at Kent State for most career birdies, and
oh wow,
yeah. So but oddly, I never won an event, and the one that I was leading, it was a 3-day. It was a regular tournament in Ohio. I was 20 under par, standing on the 18th tee, and I what did I do? I laid the sod over a 3-wood, which was awesome, and then had a 4-iron into this green, and I pushed it into the frickin' water green side, laid up or hit my 9-iron on the green, and 3-putted to finish at 17 under, which ended up losing to a teammate by 1. And so he finished at 18 under, and that ended up being the school record for lowest 18-hole total. And so they posted it in the locker room, plaque and everything. So every single day for the next year and a half, I had to walk by and be reminded of my triple bogey 7 on the last hole to lose the school record by a shot.
So you said, so like that whole story, you lost to your teammate who has the school record. Like, how does that dynamic work? Like that, like you choked a little bit, but then your teammate won, so it's kind of like, okay, like I played bad, but I'm happy for you, team. That's what like how was that like?
It was. I mean, it's bittersweet. I mean, we won the tournament by, I want to say, like 43 shots. That week,
43
and so
shots.
Yeah, I think we did set a school record that week for biggest margin of victory, and it was it's bittersweet. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I'm trying to build my career from here, and that record doesn't have any influence on what I'm doing now. So I mean, it still grinds my gears a little bit for sure. But I mean, obviously happy for him, and that's the meaty answer, right? No. But I mean, obviously I was pissed at myself for doing that, and but was able to get over it pretty quickly, and fortunately I had a good senior season and was able to become an all honorable mention All-American, so that was cool.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. I can't say I've been in that situation, but I kind of want to transition to like your professional golf career. You have played at every level, like basically. So like kind of like what was your experience out of college? Like what kind of tour did you start on? Like what was like your kind of your path early on?
Yeah, so I did Korn Ferry Q School in the fall, and won pre-Q, got through first. I shot 14 under at second stage and missed by 2. And so that sucked. Then I went to Latinoamérica, PGA Tour Latinoamérica Q School in the spring, and came in 6th in that one. So I got full Latin status, played there for the whole season. Had a decent season, not great. I had a couple. I was in contention a couple times, but could never really finish it off. Then went back to Q School that fall and earned my Korn Ferry Tour card, and didn't play great at final stage. So I had conditional status that didn't have guaranteed starts or anything, and I was able to Monday into the second event post COVID. Excuse me. The second. Damn, my bad.
No, you're good.
I Mondayed into that, and it was really weird dynamic. Like weather was really iffy that day, and so I was the third tee time of the day in the first 2 groups, they posted 7 under, 7 under, and they only take 4. So I'm like, that's not holding. And I bogeyed like 15 or 16, parred the last hole to post 4 under. So I actually left and started driving back to Ohio. Got about 2.5 hours into the drive, and my now fiance, we had just started talking that week. She's like, I think you better stay. You said the conditions were getting rough, right? And I said, yeah. So I pulled into a Love's gas station, waited for 2.5 hours more, still in at third. I'm like, this is weird. So I drive 2.5 hours back to the course. As soon as I pull in the parking lot, another 7 under posts. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be so mad if I don't get it, because I could have been 8 hours into this drive already.
Yeah.
And so I'm waiting. There were 19 3-unders. It went 7 under, 7 under, 4 under. I got in with no playoff and went in, made the cut, shuffled in. And then my next event was Colorado, where I ended up shooting 63 in the final round to ended up losing to Zalatoris by a shot. He had birdied. I had the clubhouse lead. He birdied 16 to take a 1-shot lead and then parred in to finish it off. But it was like a roller coaster of emotions to get the status there.
Yeah, what's the most like challenging part of this experience? There's really truly nothing probably like it besides maybe like MLB, like going from like single A, double A back down. It's probably what I can think of. So like, what's the most like challenging part for you?
It just patience, honestly. It can be really frustrating when you put so many hours into something and you're not seeing results, or even you're doing well, but then there's just one part of your game that's not there. Or even if you just play well and it's just like one hole that always seems to hold you back. But for me, it was when I was on Korn Ferry, I felt very raw. Like I didn't really feel like I had control of my swing. I had no short game. I actually had that dangerous word that golfers hate that begins with a Y, which led me to start chipping cross-handed about 2 years ago. And so that was a game changer for me. I feel I have no fear hitting short game shots. So I just kind of believed in that and just kept trusting the process. Just learned my own swing. Had to actually become much more educated as far as equipment goes. I was very naive with equipment and found out that a lot of the things I was trying to change in swing were being caused by the clubs that I was using, just the build.
Okay.
And so I was able to get that dialed in, switched into not my now mentor where like I know my swing, so I'm not trying to change that. And it was just the patience was the hardest part. And, I'd wake up at 3:00 in the morning and not be able to go to sleep because I was so stressed about golf. And fortunately now I only wake up at 3:00 in the morning when my puppy is walking through the blinds or making noise and licking or whatever. So
yeah.
It's peace. It's way more peaceful now.
Yeah. I kind of want to conclude this interview. I appreciate your time again. With the Genesis that was 2 weeks ago. Kind of what did it mean to you to get that exemption into Tiger's event, but not only just Tigers, like being in that group of, the elites of like the elite on tour.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, obviously anybody from any generation, but especially our generation, loves and idolizes Tiger. I mean, growing up and playing all the video games, you're just obsessed, and it was really cool to have him choose me personally to be put into the event. And it was really neat. The phrase that he had used when he chose me was that I let my clubs do the talking for me last season. And, I played well. I won 4 times and had a bunch of runner-ups and made the cuts in most of the 2 of the 3 PGA Tour events that I had played. So in this Tiger Woods story movie that I was obsessed with as a kid, he would say I always let my clubs do the talking. So it was neat, again, like a full circle moment to have that him actually speak that to me 20 years later. And then playing in the field on that golf course, which is, easily a top 3 favorite for me now, against that kind of a field obviously I wasn't able to play or score the ball. I played great, but I wasn't able to score the ball as well on the weekend. But I was still able to beat some of the best players in the world, and that just kind of validates everything that I've been working on. It boosts the confidence, and it was really cool being in that elite group. And so, hopefully we can carry that same momentum into this week. And, we got some points last week.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can play well, earn enough this week, and get into PGA Tour events more consistently. Ryan Gerard here last year was able to finish fourth and then played well in Puerto Rico and gained temporary PGA Tour status. So hopefully we can follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, no, yeah, that'll be awesome. One last golf question before I have some fun questions before I let
Cool.
you go. But
Yeah, no, all good. We're good.
but going from the main tours where I don't know the average score, but I think you have to make you got birdie every hole. I feel like that's probably your mindset.
Yep.
Then you play the Genesis where you're all right, there's hole one a must birdie. Other holes you got to play for par. What's kind of the mindset transitioning from those two courses and mindset and strategy? What's that for you?
It's so you learn to be aggressive, playing Korn Ferry events, and you see these posts where cuts are 6, 7, 8 under, and it builds confidence, obviously, when you're able to play in an event like that and you score. So that means your wedges are on point, your putting's on point, your short game, everything's firing to be able to play in events like that. So when you get to a course like Riviera, you almost have to take that same aggressive mindset, and I call it being conservatively aggressive. So
Okay.
you have to hit a great shot to 25 feet away from the pin. And that's the way that you have to look at it. You're being aggressive, you're executing a shot to this spot to then give yourself the best chance at a birdie. Because obviously you would like to birdie every hole. Hideki goes out there and shoots 9 under on that course.
Yeah.
So it's there, but you have to go about it a different way. You can't just chuck darts to 2 feet and tap in on most of those holes. You have to, use strategy, and you have to be putting well and make long putts. So it was definitely a bit of an adjustment. One hole that really sticks out to me was number 12 out there at Riv. I hit some of the best damn golf shots into that green that I think you can possibly hit. The one was back right. I flushed it, and it it landed in the perfect spot. Still had 25 feet coming back for birdie. Couldn't have done anything different. I think I actually hit the pin on the second round. I just eagled 11. I think I hit the pin on 12, and I still had 12 feet from the fringe for birdie. The fourth round, you couldn't have. It was in the front, and it was a little bit of a false front, and then it kind of went down to the pin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, okay, what club do I hit? Do I try and hit a really hard, or a floaty gap wedge, or a floaty pitching wedge, or do I try and step on a gap wedge? Well, the gap wedge is not going to get there. So I hit this high towering cut pitching wedge that landed 7 feet in front of the pin and went 35 feet past into the fringe. And it was just kind of absurd that it's different golf. So you have to be aggressive and have that mindset, but you got to be firing on all 4 cylinders to rattle off a 9 under. But then Hideki says in his interview that he felt like he shot 3 over. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah, no. He that on the par 3, maybe it was on 16 where he hit it, but he looked like he didn't hit hit it well, and he put it to 6 inches. I'm like, that's just
he did the typical Hideki one hand, pissed at the shot, and he almost gets a hole in one and wins 2 cars. Oh gosh. Yeah. That was it's a different game, for sure. And experience and repetition playing on those conditions is a huge advantage, obviously. But you still got to be able to adjust quickly, which I did fairly well for the most part, but could always get better.
Okay. I wrote down some fun questions, kind of a rapid fire little segment.
I struggle with these,
Favorite
but I'm gonna do my best.
favorite pregame meal.
Favorite pregame meal? We're just going pretty standard, like fried eggs, some bacon, and some yogurt with honey, little bit of almonds, chia seeds. Yeah, that was oddly very specific because that's what I had this morning.
There you go. Favorite club in your bag.
The driver.
How many hole in ones do you have?
Think I have five. I have four or five. I have
Okay.
one. I have one in competition, Korn Ferry event in Omaha, Nebraska, on number 17. That was really cool.
Favorite musical artist or a genre to listen to while you hit balls in the range?
While I hit balls on the range. Okay.
Yeah,
When I'm practicing, it's Harry Potter on audio.
I
That's,
did hear that.
yep, yep. Huge Harry Potter nut. My favorite genre of music is actually pop punk. So like
Okay.
big Green Day, red jumpsuit apparatus, like all those guys. And then Ed Sheeran is my next.
Favorite golf course you've played?
It's a toss up between Riviera, Murfield Village, where the memorial's hosted,
Yeah.
and probably Spyglass Hill and PGA National. So any one of those four, and you could throw into a bucket. I'll pull it out randomly.
If you had to play in like a perfect world playing with your friends out on the golf course, would you rather play in like the morning or twilight golf?
Ooh, Twilight Golf. Like especially like
Yeah,
when
twilight
when
golf.
that sun hits, especially when you're like finishing with water. Oh, it's yeah, nothing beats that view.
And what's your best round ever?
Best round ever is 60. I've shot 63 times, and uh, two of those times I won. The first time I did it, I think I was a sophomore in high school, and I was actually at 59. All I had to do was finish par. But 17 was a 240-yard par three, and I three putted for bogey, and then left an 8-footer short in the heart on 18 to shoot 60. And then the other one, I think I did three putt bogey on like 15, then birdied 16, then lipped out on 17 and 18 for 60.
You're telling me all like your like heartbreaks throughout your whole golf career.
I know. Was this
We need
was this?
to. I think you're getting it all out. It's like a therapy session. You're getting it all out, and then you're gonna do well this weekend, hopefully. That's all I have. I know you got to run to a dinner. So have fun with that. But Chase, I really appreciate your time. I know you have been busy, especially with the whole media and stuff that you told me, and you're practicing, trying to make the cut and get some points. So it means a lot to take time out of your schedule for me. So I hope we can keep in touch. I will be tracking you all tournament. I hope to see you on Sunday
Yep.
on TV, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, Chase, have a good one.